how's it going? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kat. I'd like to take a second to thank you for clicking on the video, and an extra special thank you to all my subscribers. Today's video is on the book Eligible Ex-Husband by Marie Johnston. It's part of the Cocky Hero Club. I've done a few videos, I think. Is there 2 or 3 I've done on the Cocky Hero Club? I will include them below in the description box if you'd like to check those out as well. I had not read Marie before, but being a married person and the title of the book Eligible Ex-Husband definitely piqued my interest. The story is about Natalie and Simon. They are newly divorced. They are a young couple. I think Marie says that they're maybe 30 or so. They have 2 children. The book starts with Natalie hanging out with a friend of hers, actually training, working out, and they see the cover of a magazine, and it's the most eligible bachelor in North Dakota, I think it was, where the story takes place, and it's her ex-husband. I mean, I don't know if I would like to see that either. She's a little bothered by it. She is self-aware enough to understand kind of why she's bothered by it, and it definitely made me ready to see where Marie was going to go with their story. Simon is Natalie's ex-husband. He is a very driven man. He started his own company and it's become successful, so he's basically a workaholic, and that's what led to the demise of their marriage. Natalie felt like she worked really hard for him and to build his business, and that it was hard for them to separate that when it came time to just be Natalie and Simon and or parents to their 2 kids. Very common theme, I think, in a lot of marriages is the work-life balance, especially these days where if you both work, you might be both working from home, and you've got kids that are home doing remote learning and trying to put the divider on of what's family and what's work time and all of that. I totally understood with this book. Natalie's also trying to find out who she is now post-divorce. They share custody. He's a great dad. He's just not mentally present a lot. But he shows up and he's there when he is supposed to have the kids. That's not an issue. But she's trying to figure out what she does now. She had goals and aspirations when they got married, when they met in college, and she's ready to have that be part of her new life. She's working hard to set up her own business, and I gave her props for that. You know, it's interesting, and something that drew me to the book is us as women, if we have chosen to be mothers, like I have. This book really speaks to that time where, although for Natalie being 30, it's happening a little bit earlier for her, but at some point, if you've chosen to be a mother, your kids grow up and they leave home. What do you have then if that has been your identity for the past 18 plus years? What is the next part of life for you? And Natalie is experiencing some of those questions, although her kids are still young. Simon does support them financially, does a very good job of it, so Natalie doesn't really have to worry about money, which I thought, you know, that's not the norm for most people, but it is part of their story in how Simon works and how he provides for the family. Simon has a little bit of baggage on his own. He has a tense relationship with his parents that really affects him, and he never meets their expectations, and they are very vocal about that. That has got to be hard, to be on your back all the time. We know that Simon really feels deeply that he wants the recognition from his parents. They don't appreciate anything that he does, how hard he's worked, his beautiful family that he has. They never liked Natalie. They saw someone different for him. they tried to bring other people into his life that were more acceptable, they're not nice. And Simon carries that with him. And I felt for him as far as all that goes. It's obvious that they still love each other. So I was like, well, then why did you get divorced? I think as a married person that there's a lot of things that you have to do to keep a marriage working. But if you have love, that's really the basis. And as long as you have love and you both want it, you can both work through things. So I really wondered where Natalie was coming from, because we know that she wanted the divorce. So being a little perplexed as to what the story was going to be, why did they get divorced, what eventually broke up their marriage, this is something that Simon says that gave me the first clue as to being clueless. Even our divorce was all stoic expressions and measured voices. She said she was miserable, and I wanted to do what I could to mitigate her misery. Even more, I wanted to do what I could to mitigate my misery. Having my wife tell me she was miserable and it was my fault wasn't my best moment. I was reeling from shock when the papers were thrust in front of me. All I could think about how was this time I not only failed to meet my family's expectations, or lived up to them in this case, but I failed my wife and kids and didn't know how. I was a mess inside, and she was pulled together, professional, and had an effing outline of how we'd co-parent. But in that parking lot, she'd been hot, sweaty, and full of irritation. The gold in her blue eyes sparked because of me. I didn't want to make her angry, but it was something other than her restrained appraisal when we exchanged the kids. It was filet mignon and wine to a starving man. So there's a little glimpse as to their divorce and how it affected Simon, and something that really touched me about what he said here, and I felt like laid the groundwork to where we were going with the story, was how he wanted to do whatever he could so that she wasn't miserable. And that if she wanted out of their marriage, that he would give her that because her happiness was important to him. We learned from Natalie that she thinks that Simon doesn't really know why she wanted the divorce. And, quite frankly, neither did I. But when it comes down to it, and we learn more about them, it's life. Life got in their way. And if you are a married person, you understand that if you don't talk about the little things that bug you, they fester and they build, and then you explode over stupid things. If you don't share your wants and needs with your partner, they might not know, and they might never know how to read you. So I loved how real this book was, how Marie wrote how a marriage can be, and that it was post-divorce. Obviously, they still love each other. They still like each other. They both talk about being 100% attracted to one another still. But life is hard, and Natalie got pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and Simon didn't see what was going on, and he lost her. I also liked how real Marie wrote so many things, and one of them, although it was kind of sad, in all honesty, it was so telling. So this is from Natalie's perspective. I pull into the garage. Today was the longest day of my life. It doesn't feel like yesterday that I ran with Aaliyah. It seems like last week. I almost punched the button in the car to close the garage door, but stop. It's garbage day. I need to bring the bin back. I frown. I can't recall seeing it when I drove in, but I took it to the curb this morning before I went to the hospital. What I had passed driving into the garage was Simon's Mercedes. His car was parked there all night. How many of the neighbors noticed? Do I have to ask? All of them. Did he bring the bin in? I can count on one hand the number of times he's done that. A small chore, but one he had to be home to do. I even did the lawn care for the last couple of years until I had to throw in the towel and hire a service. Keeping the girls contained so I could ride around on the John Deere was too big of a challenge, and Simon was always working. Now they're old enough to play while I mow, but I keep the lawn service because I can. The same goes for snow removal, and I even hired a maid service for once a month. Because if I did all that shit, I'd be reminded that the dream house Simon and I purchased is way too damn big for a single mom. I walk to the garage door opening and peer out. There it is, the bin, put back in its place. Sucking in a breath, I blow it back out. It's nothing. 1 2-minute chore doesn't mean he's a changed man. And if he has changed, it doesn't mean he wants me back. Literally, the garbage bins. Something so minuscule. And I bet all the married women understand exactly how Natalie felt in that moment. And also the other household chores. I am in a household where I do all of that. Now, mind you, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I get it. I have a job to make sure that my family runs and this household runs. But let me tell you, when somebody does something that's unexpected and lightens my load, it's a big deal. I am very happy. Reading this book made me very objective to a marriage and the little things like that go on. And it also made me feel like, and I think maybe it's just my personality, that I needed Natalie to give a little bit. I felt like I understood why Simon was working so hard and what he was building. And because we get his perspective, we get both perspectives in the book. We know where he's coming from. He didn't turn a blind eye to Natalie. He just didn't realize the damage that he was doing because he was working so hard for them and to provide a certain type of life for them. So I needed Natalie to give a little bit, and I wasn't sure if she was able to do that. I adored Simon, truly, but he also was the one that needed to change the most, and I thought and I believed that he could do it, and I hoped that Natalie was going to lighten up just a little bit because I wanted them to work it out. I am a sucker for a second chance. Natalie says something so funny that it's so true. She says that Simon lets her sleep after both girls had been up all night puking, and that was better than receiving a dozen roses. It's so true. If there was one thing that I thought maybe didn't fit quite for me, was that the fact that they were 30. I had one of my kids about the same age that Natalie and Simon have their first child, and I just didn't, when I was 30, I just didn't see what Natalie was seeing with Simon. And albeit, you know, my husband is in a completely different job career than Simon's in, but I thought that the growing pains that their relationship had that ultimately led them to divorcing usually happens a little bit later, I think. It just, in my opinion. It didn't change how I felt about the book, but I thought that in my life, when I've seen with friends and family members, it usually happens a little bit later. I do love how the book ends. We do get a happily ever after. It was a really great journey, and I feel like with the Cocky Hero Club books, I have gotten wonderful characters. I really liked Natalie and Simon, and also a great story. I wondered if Eligible Ex-Husband was going to be kind of light, and as it turns out, it was definitely fun and sexy, but it also had some really serious moments that I connected to, and I really enjoyed it. Let me know what other Cocky Hero Club books you have read, if you've read Marie's other books. If you liked the video, thank you for taking a second to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. It really does help my channel and this video get better visibility on YouTube. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.